Alright, now we get to see what it looks like against the Acolyte, who respawned really soon. Oh my god, and the fucking... the Cephalons are coming after me? Hold on. Oh, as you can see, I basically one-shot the Acolyte there. Just firing into that group of enemies. So, yeah. This will definitely get you through all of Steel Path. Alright guys, we're making another Saryn video. I actually already recorded this video once, and none of my footage had audio, so we're starting over. If you haven't seen the last Saryn video, this is just an updated version of that build. And the whole premise behind that video was I want to put as many status effects on my primary weapon as possible. And I originally did that by putting Shock Trooper from Volt onto the helmet, and then using the Shock Trooper and Venom Dose to get the double elements going. And then I had Viral and Heat on the bow, and then I already had Toxin on Toxic Lash. I realized that there was a couple better ways to do that. So the first thing I tried was, first of all, you can put a purple Archon shard on the you can put a purple Archon shard and get electricity damage. So we get an extra element there, just like on base. And then originally I thought I should try putting Smite on there and then using Smite Infusion. But what happens when you do that, you get radiation damage and then electricity, but then you have to put gas on the bow to get the electricity to not mix with the heat and get radiation anyways. And then you lose Viral, and you end up losing a lot of damage not having Viral. So, I'm going to go over like the mod specifically here in a second. Just bear with me, I've got a lot to talk about. So what I ended up doing, I was like, okay, maybe if I put Smite on her too then, and then I just use her ult for the Viral. And then I actually gain an extra element. I gained 6 elements rather than 5. I would get gas, Viral, radiation, electricity, and then Toxin from Toxic Lash, and then Corrosive from Venom Dose. But then I had to spam my Asthma every 2 seconds, and this only applies like 1 or 2 Viral procs. And it just didn't feel good to play at all. And you decided to use 2 fucking augments. So the build that I actually did land on is this one. No, not this one. This one. Steel Charge, actually we need to swap that for Rifle Amp, because we get Corrosive, so we don't need Corrosive Projection. I don't have the energy to put Rifle Amp on. So you'd probably put this or possibly Energy Siphon for... I can't afford to. I can't afford to because of this. I'll probably change that eventually, because this is probably going to be my main Saryn build from now on. Anyways, we ended up putting Nourish on here. So that allows us to take away the second augment. So usually there's 2 ways to build it. We can build it with putting everything directly onto the weapon, and then we would drop Overextended for Venom Dose here, and then we put Corrosive onto the augment slot here. Then everything's on the bow. We don't worry about spores. I personally still like to use the spores, so I actually am leaving Stretch and Venom Dose on, or Stretch and Overextended, because I do like her spores. We get that extra mod slot now because we don't need either of the augments now, and we still get the corrosive damage. So there's that. Other than that, the build is power strength, and then the 3 Umbral mods and adaptation for survivability. And then this is also kind of a flex slot. This is kind of just like my energy slot. We can do equilibrium. This is great for when you have a lot of enemies and you have a pet with synth deconstruct. You get tons of energy like this as long as there's lots of enemies around. Another way I was running it was with Energy Nexus, because Nourish actually boosts the energy you get from regen abilities like Energy Nexus and Energy Siphon. So you actually get a decent amount of energy back while this is on, especially if you do Energy Siphon. Where the hell? Hold on. Siphon. Where the hell is my Energy Siphon at? Energy Siphon. If we put this up here, then you actually gain like almost 9 energy per second or something like that on this, because it's 2.4 times 3.6, so it's like 7 or 8 almost. And that's quite a lot of regen. It's nice. It's passive. You don't really have to think about it. And then my other option that I always really like is Hunter Adrenaline. If I can pull that up. No, okay. This basically, the thing that sucks about Hunter Adrenaline is you don't get energy like ever unless you're getting shot at. But it does make sure you have energy when you really need it. If you run Hunter Adrenaline with Xenaruk, you're good. You just use the Xenaruk thing that gives you extra regen, and that gives you a shit ton of regen with Nourish on. But if you're not running Xenaruk, I would probably go Energy Nexus or Equilibrium. Equilibrium if you're going into high populated areas and you've got the pet for it. The Arcanes, we're looking at Molt Reconstruct for healing, and then Molt Augmented just for more power strength. This is actually supposed to be Stretch. And then I'm probably going to put Equilibrium back on. And then... Oh, God, I got to put Steel Charge back on to fit this. I need to reform my Saryn a little bit. But this is probably the best general use Saryn build I can find. I like how my max equilibrium just disappeared. And then, so there's a couple different weapons that work with this build as well. My favorite, I love the bows. My favorite is the Cinta for a couple of reasons. Because it basically works like a big ass shotgun that has the most ridiculous AoE in the game, and I like bows. The way this works is there's 2 mods you really need. Galvanized Aptitude to take advantage of all the extra status effects, and then you need as much multi-shot as humanly possible, so split flights, because with the AoE you don't really care about the accuracy anyways. You're not aiming for headshots or anything like that. You just shoot and everything dies. The way this works, I finally understand how it works now. Basically, the first arrow will apply whatever status effect it has, and then the second one will take advantage of Galvanized Aptitude, where you get the extra damage per status effect. Sure, there's better priming methods, but the whole point was to have it kind of be a self-priming build. We've got gas electric on the build now. So we've got the 2 elemental mods, and then kind of just crit damage and vial acceleration for fire rate. I just have a really good Riven. This one's kind of open. You could put I would probably put no, because you can't stack these. Galvanized Scope is alright. You get extra crit chance that way. That's probably what I would put there. And then the Arcane is Primary Blight. You get even more multi-shot for Toxin status effects, which you get for free on Saryn. And then Twitch, just because to get the grouping a little bit tighter, because the accuracy loss on this is kind of ridiculous, but it doesn't really matter on this weapon. I do actually have a specific pet for it this time. This isn't super necessary. It's just a little bit of added fun. I like the Chesikubro because extra loot, and he makes energy orbs, and health orbs drop more like Necros does. And then you just need synth deconstruct. Everything else about this build is up to you. And then the claws, I've got them set up for magnetic and cold. And then when he, you get a 100% to apply a magnetic proc when you apply an impact proc with Bell Ringer, which guarantees impact procs. So you get guaranteed cold and magnetic procs, which is just 2 extra elements. The other weapon that it works really well with, that I've been messing around with, you lose the AoE, but it does a shit ton of damage, is this guy, the Recon effects. So with this, we actually do go back to, we actually do gain the extra elemental proc here, because we have gas electricity, and we have impact puncture, and the special ability, when you get the perfect reload, you get forced heat procs. So you actually get 3 extra ability elemental status effects on this weapon. So it's really good, but it actually, like a group of enemies, it kills way slower. Against single targets though, this thing shreds. Like high level, like a fucking like an acolyte or a freaking a necromech or something like that. This thing absolutely shreds. So let's check out what these 2 weapons can do. Let's show it without the dog, because that's kind of just extra. I'm sorry for yapping for like 20 minutes. Bear with me. So, get the 20 corrupted heavy gunners. Oh, we're also in the new simulacrum, so that's cool. So let's get some energy. Let's turn on Nourish, Toxic Lash, and then we do Corrosive for the corrosive damage. Get the perfect reload to get the heat damage, and then we just, like, it really kind of just shreds these enemies, especially once the spores start stripping armor. And yeah, this also has built-in, the special mechanic on this also gives even more multi-shot. With primary blight, you get so much multi-shot. But it's just not quite the same as with the bow. It hits different with the bow, because we can kind of just do this. So toxic, viral, corrosive, and then just like, yeah, this thing kills the group way faster. Oh, there's one more thing I do want to go over. I think I've gone over everything. The Archon shards I'm running. The greens are important on Saryn. For people who don't, for newer players who don't understand how corrosive procs work. The max you can get, I think, is 12 or 13. Yeah, 12. And you need, no, it's 13. So, no, it's 10. Yeah, it's 10. And you need 13. All I know is you need, like, I think you need at least 3 okay, sorry. The amount of corrosive procs to completely strip someone's armor, I think, is 10 or something like that. Or, sorry. I'm explaining this wrong. The maximum amount of corrosive procs you can put on an enemy is about 10. But that's not enough to fully strip someone's armor. So you need at least 3 extra ones from green corrosive shards. Or you need, oh no, you think you need 4. So we run 2 of these. It's not worth putting the Talforged ones here, because a single Talforged one only gives you an extra 3. You need at least 4 to completely strip an enemy's armor. That's how it works. So you need at least 2 of these, either way. So I just put the regular green ones on. And then here I've just got extra primary status chance because we want to apply as many status effects as possible. And then it also works well with the Tau Forge Purple, which you get extra electricity for Crimson, Azure, or Violet Archon shards. I think that's everything. Yeah, I went over why we don't use Smite, why I end up on Nourish. I went over the different energy types. And I went over the 2 weapons that I would recommend. And I went over the dog. Okay, I think that's everything. If not, I'll come back and edit something in probably right here. But for now, let's get into a real mission and show you what the build can do. Oh, actually, I did just remember something. There's one other version of the build that I had been messing around with. So, the reason I actually left this here as a V, so we could put on Prime Continuity, and then we can do Siphon and Nexus. This actually works quite well because Prime Continuity allows Nourish to last way longer, and this already lasts way too fucking long. Or it's not too long, but it lasts 65 seconds. You hardly ever have to cast this, especially with Prime Continuity. And then this lasts 36 seconds now, up from, what was it, 20? 25 seconds. So, yeah. And this isn't even maxed out all the way. And then this pretty much gives you all the energy you really need. Again, if something drains your energy, though, and you suddenly don't have energy, you're kind of fucked for a second while these start kicking back in. But yeah, you got to make sure Nourish is up because it makes these give you way more energy. Without Nourish, I don't think either of these mods are even worth considering. So if you have a different helmet on Saryn, I would not go with these. But other than that, I might actually go into the mission with this build on just to see how it feels one more time. But I usually am running Equilibrium on it in most cases. Now let's get into the mission. Alright, so here we are in a Conjunction Survival Void Fissure. So, you know, on Lua. So we've got level 200 enemies right off the bat, so that's nice. This is probably my favorite mission to just test builds on. But yeah, as you can see, it's still kind of one-shotting these guys. Although these guys have been armor stripped already. So there's that. It is still kind of a squishy Saryn build, so you do have to use Molts a lot and rely a little bit on shield gating. But yeah, the combo there uses quite a lot of energy when you have to cast Toxic Lash and Nourish at the same time. But yeah, even without Equilibrium, these guys drop a lot of energy, and we've got permanent energy regen, so like I'm already back at full energy. But yeah, this mission doesn't have enemies that drain your enemy energy instantaneously like some other missions. My god, I hate the Eximus version of those the infested like big guys that drain your energy. Those guys are so annoying. But yeah, as you can see, like if we had Equilibrium here, we would also just have infinite energy going. I'm also on the wrong pet, I just realized. I'm on my Crit Kavat. Oh, that's another thing. I was messing around with having Arcane Avenger and then using the Crit Kavat to get this bow back into like orange and sometimes even red crit territories. That was working pretty well, but I just felt like I was getting more from the bonus power strength on Nourish with Molt Augmented, so I ended up doing that. Like, we're already at 250 stacks on that, which I believe gives 60% power strength. So, that also affects Toxic Lash. And if you're using the frickin' Venom Dose version, instead of the Spores, your arrows start hitting like a fucking truck. Even the single target ones, when you like fully charge it, want to hit like a bigger enemy, that's really nice too. I just find that there's too much value in being able to strip very large groups of enemies with Saryn's Forge. It does take longer than other armor strips in the game, but you know, I like how much range it has. Alright, now we get to see what it looks like against the Acolyte, who respawn really soon. Oh my god, and the fucking... the Cephalons are coming after me? Hold on. Oh, as you can see, I basically one-shot the Acolyte there. Just firing into that group of enemies. So, yeah. This will definitely get you through all of Steel Path, but this is a very expensive build, and it's not quite cut out for like level cap. I know a lot of people were saying on my first Saryn build, they were like, well, a lot of people. There was one guy was like, you can't even go to level cap with this build, and you're wasting 4 mods on survivability. You should just use shield gating. And I was like, I don't like using shield gating. I would much rather give myself infinite energy and infinite healing and just keep healing, because like, I don't know, there's been some, like, in general, I just don't like shields, even when I'm playing a frame that has a lot of shields. And even with like adaptation, when it adaptation works on shields, I feel like my shield is always gone anyways. And then like, if I don't have health and armor behind that shield, I feel like I can't survive anything. Okay. But even sometimes on this build, I get one shot. The stupid, this thing one-shot me. But yeah, as long as you're paying attention and watching your invulnerability windows on the shield gating and just casting bolts a lot, like every other group of enemies, you'll be all right. Because Molt is kind of still your main way of healing, even without the augment. With Molt regeneration, I just find the extra mod capacity more valuable than the arcane slot. So, but I think I've shown off the build enough. So I'm gonna get the hell out of here and do my outro. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this one. So now I do have a full melee build on with that first Saryn video, which is still getting more views than I ever expected it to. It's at like 5,000 views or something now. No, I think it's just about to hit 4,000 views, which I really appreciate. And now you have a gun build option, and this build works with pretty much any weapon. Honestly, it's just I like this bow. That's probably going to be it for Saryn for a while. The original version of this build was a little bit gimmicky. This is a much more practical version of it. But yeah, I don't think I'll have a reason to make another Saryn video for a little bit. I do want to do something on Volt and Nezha Prime eventually. I haven't played Nezha since way before he got primed, and I was working on a build then. But the build I was working on was very expensive because it needed the Umbral mods, of course. And I don't have any more Umbral Forma, so we'll see how that goes. But until next time, I'm out of here.